Welcome to Station WBMCT, Black Middle Class Talk, where we talk, get down, throw the communication around, message, receiver, feedback. Let's get it on. Your host, CC, and your co-host, EB. Let's talk, communicate. Hello, welcome aboard. Another week of exciting news coming. Welcome to Station WBMCT, Black Middle Class Talk. My name is CC. My co-host here is EB. And as always, we just have an hour. We just discuss local and national events and those things pertaining to black people. And generally, black people issues are American issues. So our issues don't get discussed like we want them to, and sometimes the perspective is always decided for us. The conversation is always decided for us if you're on the corporate media channel, and we're just small fish in a big ocean trying to speak our truth and define the truth. And there's the world of nothing but lies in America, that is. You got lies all over the place. As always, we have 4 segments to the hour show. The first segment, the first quarter, will be domestic and international news. The second segment will be our subject of the day, is the Black Boogie man being replaced with the brown immigrant. The subject board that's going to be define us off of our subject board that you see on the opening of the show, which will relate to the subject. And then at the end, we have a little piece of entertainment. I know basketball season has wrapped up with mid-year, and so we're going to talk a little bit about the past NBA season. Knicks are the champions right now, so we're going to hit on that a little bit and maybe some other entertaining news. But as always, we start out with EB. He always gets us started with domestic news, and he always goes a little bit into the international news, and we'll just tie the two together because they always kind of fit together, especially in the world of Trump. So go ahead, AB, what you got for us, brother?
Yeah, welcome back. Thank you all for taking your time out of your day to come and check in with us. And I hope that we're able to share something with you that you can grab something from, and you can hopefully, like CC said, it can add on to it. That's something that we'll talk about later. First thing I want to say, the deal is done, or is it? The deal is done is that we have signed a ceasefire agreement with Iran, but there are very limited details about what's in the deal. President Obama came on TV the other day and he made a statement. He said is that no matter what deal is done, he don't see anything coming out of that deal that's anything different than what he had already proposed and what he had gotten signed. This deal that they have signed is a page and a half. Think about that. We talking about nuclear weapons. We talking about ending the war. We talking about open the strait. We talking about sanction against them. But all this gonna be
sound like somebody did a crash. They missed their homework and did a crash.
Right. But then again, they say, but look at who we had doing the deal. We had Kushner, his son-in-law, and Witkoff.
A real estate.
Neither one. Yeah, right. I'm making say mega. Neither one of them has no experience in foreign relations, but that is the one that our president had put in their hands to work a deal. A page and a half. The Obama deal was almost 60 pages.
And it took longer than a week.
It took longer than a week. And then think about it. On the Obama deal, on the first page, it had on there that Iran would have no nuclear deal. Now, this deal that we have on the table right now, they're not even talking about nuclear. They're not talking about no enriched uranium. They said they'll talk about that in 60 days. Mm-hmm. They said, yeah, we'll get back with you.
Hey.
Just give us our money.
Hey.
Now,
let me jump in. Right. Last week, I think it was last week we talked about this war, and I was saying that I made a prediction that Trump would cut tail and run.
Taco.
Yeah, and Trump always changes the
Chickens out. Right.
Yeah, Trump always chickens out. See, he started something. This is a classic case of starting something and you can't finish what you started. Right. So he's going to bail out, tell his goons a lie and his minions and his cult a lie. They're going to eat it hook, line, and sinker. Even the Fox News is trying to, I don't know how they're going to spin this one, but they're going to spin it. It doesn't matter about the lie. They're going to accept it anyway. I don't even know why he wastes his time telling a lie. Well, I guess you have to dress it up, but
right. You didn't cut me off. And then they showed on TV yesterday. They showed I would go about and say 15 clips of people getting on TV and saying, President Trump is a good negotiator. President Trump is outstanding negotiator. Trump is the best negotiator that we ever had. You know, the art of the deal, you know. And come to find out, well, I don't know if it's true, allegedly, that he didn't even write that book. That's
no doubt.
Oh, that's
no doubt. Yeah, he didn't write. Now, and that's, to his defense, that's not unusual that you have what they call a co-writer or
they usually call them ghostwriters.
Ghostwriter.
The one that's behind the scene, but that somebody else takes credit for.
Yeah, so that's not unusual, but he didn't put no pencil to no paper and write all that down. No way. No way, no how.
Okay. All right, the next thing that we have is severe weather. You say, well, why is weather bothering? It's because the fact is that we have a president in the White House now that do not believe in global warming. And if you think that there's not a such thing as global warming, you know, that's another subject that we have to take up on another day and go more into detail, is that we got storms from Philadelphia to Iowa. We got rain from Texas to Montana. We got, they got in Hawaii, they got a volcano and they got a I can't think of the name. Tornado. It's a tornado inside of a volcano. Oh, you saw
that clip.
Yeah, exactly. So but that's something that we should be concerned about. I think that we do, but we got someone that's in office. He don't have no concerns about anything that causing our world as we do to continue to disintegrate the way it is each and every day. So I just want to put that out there. And the last thing I want to put as far as domestic news is that there was an election, a runoff last night in the state of Georgia for Republicans. The Democrats had theirs a couple weeks ago. For the Democrats, for governor is Lance Bottom.
She used to be a mayor of Atlanta. She used to be the mayor of Atlanta,
exactly.
Right. Wasn't there some controversy there, I thought, with her as mayor? Didn't a cop shoot a black man at one point, you know, when the cops are just shooting people left and right around the George Floyd type time?
Right.
Was that her? You're not sure. That's fine.
I never. Okay. And the Republican, like I said, they had the Republican primary last night. The Republican that Donald Trump, I guess I got to verify this. Last night, before I went to bed, is that the guy Burt Jones he's a MAGA, and he was losing, and he was a Trump endorsed. And then they had he's had a billionaire, this Jack Rasmussen.
Okay.
And that he's a MAGA, but the other guy's the election denier. But anyway, either one of those guys is that they think that Lance Bottom has a good chance at actually winning, and that would be very surprising for a Democrat to win governor in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
But they saying that they have a lot of baggage that they is that they
right. So what it comes down to is Trump supporters,
right?
And
he's
Georgia
3-1.
Yeah, Georgia is going to be a true test.
Yes.
Of how strong MAGA is in Georgia.
Yes, exactly.
Right, it's statewide, because that's a statewide election, right?
Yes.
For governor.
Right.
And, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but that's what all I have on the domestic side. You know, like I said, a deal signed, and that's a transition for world news.
Well, the war is, like you say, the Strait of Hormuz has been shut down for quite some time. It's really kind of stunned the whole world economy. But I would, before you moved on, we move on to international news. That climate change is worthy of discussion in domestic news because whose house going to be standing after the next storm, right? So, in other words, everybody's on deck to be homeless.
Right.
These storms are more powerful. The earth, we're pumping what they call fossil fuels in the air. They basically just burning whatever junk and putting in the atmosphere. And so that creates a heat, I understand a heat in the atmosphere. So all that heat has to be released, and it released through the ocean, so to speak.
Right. And look at the examples of, you go to Alaska, all those glaciers are melting. And I seen this thing on the show on Americas, and they were showing this polar bear, and the polar bear was going from one spot, but he had to stop.
Yeah.
Because the water was not, because he normally walks across because it's frozen, but it's not. Right. So it's an offset.
Right. And I mean, then we're going to be looking at world famine. It's just not climate change isn't just happening in the United States. It's a worldwide dilemma or catastrophe, and we got the perfect storm because we got an idiot that's doing the opposite of what he should do to curtail climate change. China is far ahead of the ball, far ahead of the curve. We're the only ones out here trying to profit on death, killing people, because that's what we're doing. We're pumping. We're not a responsible citizen of the world. The United States isn't. So that is something to put on our. In fact, it's on our subject board when you see the show come up, because climate change should be the number one discussion. Or number two, in the United States, it should be one or two. One might be corruption, two might be the environment. You can interchange those two, because we can't get anything. Biden, when he left office, had all the green energy grants all set in place, electric cars, solar panel, wind panels. What does this dummy do? He comes in, he tears it off. Same thing he did with Obama. He tears up the deal. Now we're paying for it. We're just, in the United States, we're just in a terrible situation. It's the perfect storm. We're just being, the country's just, to me, it's at, how should I say, a civil war.
Right.
A soft civil war right now.
Right. And then to think about the issue that you're saying with all the things that go along with global warming and climate change, and then to think that we got a president that has denigrated, just almost went away, FEMA. And FEMA is federal emergency. And so now all these storms that we're having, but then again, the support that used to be in place to provide for those folks, it's not there. It's so watered down now. It's just like FEMA is like a shell of what it used to be.
Yes. Yeah. We're being robbed now. But another thing on the international news, the G7, can you explain the G7 to me? Give me an idea. That's just the 7 countries, big developed countries, come together and they discuss business, world
business, right?
World business,
right?
And Trump was there.
Yes.
What did he do? Did he do anything? Did he step up front and push everybody else out and stick his chest out? He didn't stick his chest out this time. Because I saw a shot of him. He was standing all by himself, and everybody else is chit-chatting behind him. It looked so bad. Right. And I don't blame the people. I find somebody else to talk to also.
Because they said prior to them arriving there in that country's paper, is it saying the G7 members are rethinking their relationship with the United States.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I think Canada, as far they moved on some time ago, they're working with the Chinese, and as far as electric batteries and cars, and that's where the United States should be. I don't know when the dust clears what's going to be left of the United States. Right. We're only halfway through the year. This man's a year and a half into his presidency, and all he's thinking about is tearing this sucker down in any way he can. He's got plenty of volunteers to jump on board to do it. They're breaking the law, so many laws they're breaking, we can't even keep count. Yeah. In fact, people have gotten confused. What is the law? So we're in a bad shape here in the United States. I just don't know where we're going to end up at or what the remnants are going to be.
And it's so funny, this is a side note, is that you remember when Zelensky came to the White House,
Yeah.
and Trump told him, say, you don't have the cards. You don't have the card. Now, it has been reported is that Zelensky, we knew that Zelensky, Ukraine had that technology for those drones.
Yes.
Matter of fact, everybody go to them for that because, and theirs are cheaper and they're more effective.
Yes.
But then again, so now, but Trump would not go to Zelensky and say, hey, give us, assist us with this.
Right.
Because he felt like because remember he told the guy he didn't have no cards.
Right. He felt like, oh, he got the card. But he can't go to Zelensky without Putin's permission. Am I wrong? Okay. Hey, look like Zelensky has the cards to me.
Yeah, he do. A fool
and that being said, we're not up to date on drone technology. It's just a matter of time before we see a scene where drones pop up out of some crate and blow up some stuff. We're just not ready. That's the first segment. And we're going to come back in the second segment, and we're going to talk about, is the Black Boogie man being replaced with the brown immigrant? So we'll come back in about 60 seconds less and discuss that subject for today. All right, welcome back. Is the Black Boogie man being replaced by the brown immigrant? America has placed a lot of investment in making us the Black Boogie man. You see us on the evening news robbing something. You see any negative stereotypes they can get in a movie, they'll put it in there. And so and just the fact that this history of ours, I'm going to use the word caricatures. I noticed that Michelle Obama recently at that pig pen fight they had at the pig pen fight they had at the White House, right?
Yes.
I noticed that
right there.
Yeah. There was this guy reverted back to the old South. He stood. He said, "Michelle Obama was a man."
And he said, "Isn't that right, America?"
How did you even get there in your thought pattern? It's like these people have no bottom. They talk about low self-esteem. I couldn't even fathom up such a nasty comment, and it doesn't even make sense. I mean, must have worked on it somewhat. But the sad part is how people just sit and go along with it.
Right.
I mean, these are true blue racists, soulless. That's one of the things. You got to give up your dignity at the door. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? You had to get on the team. Yeah. You can't come through the door with any dignity or morality. And this guy proved that he has none. But getting back to the black, and I just used that to make an example of, he played into what we call caricatures. It's something that all through our history here in America, we've been subject to. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, very good point. And I like the way that you laid that out as far as with characters and for like how we've always been recognized as the boogeyman, and say because it was a safe way for them to be comfortable with things that they was doing to the black people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was just saying to you earlier, is I remember this trial that they had in Georgia when they shot this young kid. The kid was running through the neighborhood, and they walked up behind him, blocked him off, and they ended up killing him. And then when the guy was doing his testimony, he said that the person coming, he said he can see him gritting his teeth. You see what I'm saying? So it just goes.
That was the monster.
Yeah, that's the monster. So
Yeah.
in other words, so now he's trying to sell to the jury is that so if I say that to you, so now the case on the fact of the boogeyman. Okay, so now anybody in the jury can sit there with they have in their mind and they say, man, okay, that guy was threatened.
Yes. Now let's make sure we know which one we're talking about. We're talking about the case in Georgia where the guy was jogging in the neighborhood,
Jogging, just going through
and
the neighborhood.
then two white guys figured they're gonna be the police.
Two white guys followed him, and then the other guy
him.
followed him and was camera with the camera.
Right, and they
Yeah.
cornered him, and one guy shot him with a shotgun.
Yeah, they was wrestling with a shotgun.
Oh, that's right.
And then they shot him.
Right, the
Right.
guy came at him with a
Right,
shotgun.
right.
Thought that the guy was obligated to obey every command that he gave because he was white
Exactly.
with a shotgun. And I don't even know how I would have responded. I see a crazy man. I ain't even worried about your color,
Right.
dude. And that's one thing about white people. They think that black people submit to what's in their head. And that's what gets me. Nobody cares what's in white people's head. We're walking around. We just mind our own business, living our own daily lives. You can have that stuff in your head. But I'm gonna show y'all about this character that I don't even like. This is an authentic piece, and this is what they call a caricature. And you can see the images in the background there, but this ain't what's in the background of that picture. And this is authentic out the 50s piece. And this is a black guy. He's smiling. That's a watermelon in his hand. And so these are what they call caricatures, and this is an authentic one. And it's brutal. Yeah. We went through some brutal history, which brings us to the brown boogeyman. What now? Do you think the brown boogeyman, will get this type of fanfare? Will the brown boogeyman get one of these in his honor?
Well,
no.
Well, but they wouldn't like you're right, because that right there was acceptable, because besides that one that he had there, if you're from the South, we have seen the one that people have at the end of their driveway with a black man standing there with a ring.
Yes.
So you've seen those.
Right. And let me comment on that, because I went to Underground Railroad home in Memphis, Tennessee, and they gave a story about that. And that did exist. The black man with the holding the ring, a horse. He was a horse.
I don't know what they say, but he was dressed up, and all I remember seeing with that ring in his hand.
So what they said at the museum was, when that light, what they used that for was the Underground Railroad, and when the light was on, that meant it was safe to come to the house. When the light, when the lantern was off, they knew that it wasn't safe.
Gotcha.
Right. So that was like used. Now I'm sure when it first started, maybe that wasn't the intent, but that's how they used it. But I just wanted to point that out.
But just think about it. We always come back to this person, that man in the White House, is that when he first started his campaign, he's the one that put emphasis on the other boogeyman. You remember he got up on national TV, say they rapists, murderers, thieves, and they say, and then now they trying to back that up, because they was interviewing J.D. Vance the other day, and asked him, say, well, he said, well, he wasn't talking about all of them, but then again, he never said some. He never said. Right. He said the Mexicans. He used that as a one whole group.
Okay.
Saying that they murderers, they rapists and all. So now this the one. That's why it becomes easier for some when they talk about the immigration in which they are now going after that group of people. Now, I would say this as far as the Mexican tried to assimilate a lot with the whites.
Oh, and on that note, 45%, they went up. How many? From 32% to 45% voting. Almost half Latinos voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point I was getting ready to make.
Okay, especially men.
Right.
But go ahead.
But they fell for it. They fell for the yoke-a-doke. Is that what I'm talking about on this border? That's what Trump's saying. What I'm talking about on this border, I'm talking about them people coming from Venezuela, Guatemala, You know, I'm talking about all the people. I'm not talking
Honduras.
about Honduras. I'm not talking about you Mexicans here because we know y'all here. You know, but as soon as he got elected, he went blank. He wasn't arresting no people from Venezuela, Honduras, Guatemala. He was arresting Mexicans that been here for 20-some years.
I think it was across the board. He was arrested. They brown skinned because of the bonus.
But I'm saying, but the way he sold it.
Sold
to them.
Right,
oh, okay.
Right. And it's just a tragedy. As you just said, I find that too, that Mexicans in general relate more to white people.
Right.
You know, in their plight. And that's why I've never been a big fan of black people, especially in our plight, saying black and brown people.
Black and brown, yeah.
And as our subject was, I think what Trump was trying to do, and still is, he was trying to create a brown boogeyman. But it is hard to do it when that image of the brown are always doing some domestic type service and you know, those landscaping jobs, which, by the way, I almost find that when I worked in corporate America, I almost found that it was somewhat discriminatory that it was all brown doing the landscaping. It was all brown in the kitchen. It's all brown doing the cleaning crew.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm sure diversity-wise, that doesn't happen. And so, and by the way, I was noticing the population of Latinos. And by the way, there's this thing called ethnicity and race. Right. Ethnicity generally goes more towards the South Americans, Mexico included, for an ethnicity. Race, generally, when you're talking about race, it refers to black people, you know, for the color of our skin and, of course, our hair texture, which is fine. I was just saying that they sometimes will get a different classification anyway. And by the way we get to this big population of Latinos in America is by importation by Republicans for their meat.
Right, exactly. So they farm, meat packing,
farming, domestic. They bring them in. In fact, when a Democrat comes in, they kind of yell and howl and say, "Hey, it's open border."
Right, exactly.
Well, you open it up,
exactly.
You know, through business, and that old rope-a-dope always works. People in America are so uninformed, we're so uneducated. We can be fooled. Any simple sleight of hand, which Trump does, and it's based on race. So, but the answer to my question on this subject is the black boogeyman being replaced by the brown immigrant. I said, no way. I mean, they got way too much invested in the black boogeyman because I tell you what, look who's going to get rolled out this coming November. It's going to be a black person. They're going to have that caricature somewhere. Right. They might find a Willie Horton somewhere. Somebody didn't got out of jail on the Simply Safe Act, whatever they got here in Illinois.
But you know, they try to make it appear that person has been killed off, the black boogeyman. But me and you both know that that's not the case. You know,
how you figure that? How you figure it's been killed off?
You know how they continue. This is their famous go-to. We elected a black president.
Okay.
So so basically, based on how they feel, is that once Obama became president, all bets off. You can't use those things that, you know, the 400 years of it. Like that. No, all that has changed because we had the man in the top job in the White House was a black man. Yeah. So now they saying is that no.
That's that term they use, post-racism. We're in a post-race era, and meaning after the after Obama, and even when they said that at the time, it was a lie. You know, it's just not what we need. To me, to really correct the situation is reparation. And I know you don't think that that's going to happen in our lifetime, but we at least got to talk about it and hope, because of what I'm saying is what's been taken from us, what's been, how we've been damaged through the prison industrial complex, the Jim Crow, the slavery, how America has damaged. We're not going to recover from that. In fact, it's ongoing. This story of the Black America being the black boogeyman is ongoing. Now, we fight a good fight. We're fighting a perfect fight with what we have. which is basically just our hands and our brains, and our love too. I would say.
Real fast, did you see that on the news that these people in Evanston, because you know Evanston have already started issuing, and you know that they sued them?
Right. So you're saying Evanston did establish a reparation.
Was actually paying it out
in the city, yeah, and they
Right.
were paying it. And what the way they had did it was they were directing the cannabis money towards housing. If I'm not mistaken, right? So
I just know somebody sued somebody non-black.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
And yeah, there was a lawsuit against someone from which they should have seen coming. By the way,
Right.
it's not what. There's no.
I'm surprised it went through, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's pending though, right?
No, they have actually been. Oh, you mean the lawsuit?
Lawsuit.
Oh,
yeah.
lawsuit. Yes,
Yeah.
it's just in the
Right,
works. Yeah.
right. And but that's the thing though. That's my point. They tried, and it's still successful, but you don't know how the courts are going to rule. But still, you got to try. You got to keep hope. To me, that we can't give up this hope, because with all that's been stolen from us, from black people, I mean, and still being stolen, and how do you recover from that? And so I'm just saying, I think we always got to keep the subject of reparation in the conversation.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. So we'll take this quick break. We'll come back on the board, and we're gonna look at defining us. That's gonna be on the board, but we'll see. There's a couple of others, but I want to know how we define us as black people right after this break.
Mm-hmm. You see that damn.
All right, welcome back. On that, when we come into the show, we have a subject board. It's just different topics, and generally whatever we talk about, we can generally find it on there, on this board. And I want to talk about right there below Black Middle Class Talk. It says define us, and that's the one that I want to ask you about, brother. How we can come back? How do we define us as a people? Do we define? I know the biggest would define us as those caricatures I just saw, or anything negative that they can muster up in their mind. Don't want to work, lazy, shiftless, you name it, anything negative. That's the way the others define us. How do you think that we are defining ourselves? Because we were just talking about in the break, Tim Scott and the McDonald's, those are the ones who have no allegiance to black people whatsoever. And Clarence Thomas has no allegiance to black people whatsoever, because they have made it, right? They have went up the mountaintop, pulled up the ropes. They pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. So are we subject to other people's definition of us, or how they define us? Do we sometimes curtail the way we act just to appease white people? Because what I'm saying, it goes off the subject what I was talking about with reparations. We've been damaged, mentally damaged. As Bob Marley says, their brutalized our very soul, down to the core. And that's how you get a Tim Scott or Clarence Thomas or McDonald, you name it. I even went to school with a young man, graduated a year before me in Oxford. He used to go down on the square with, all these little towns in Mississippi have a square. He would go down there with his rebel flag, black guy, and sit underneath this Confederate soldier right there in the middle of the square. He's exercising his freedom of speech, But I'm just saying that seems to me to be some type of mental damage. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't black people who fought with the Confederacy. There was a minimal amount, but by the way, they didn't have guns. They was just like the cleaning and all that. And they were convinced that the Northerners were going to come down and make their life harder.
Right.
As if it could be any
Well, that's
harder.
what was being sold to them.
Yeah, and that's what was being sold to them. So, but this guy and Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas, what are their excuse? I mean, their excuse, it seems to me, is that they're just mentally damaged, I guess, or greedy, or I don't really know how to put it. But you don't have to deal with them. I mean, what are your perspective on how we define us?
Just back just a little bit, and it kind of marries to what we was talking about, the boogeyman between us and the brown people, is that that's what that's the character they have for them, sitting up under a shade tree with a sombrero on, taking a siesta. You know what I'm saying? So that it just saying how they make that same story, for them.
Yes.
But then again, I, have a hard time, criticizing anybody for what they're, and you worded perfect. That is his that is his right for free speech. If you want to go out there in the town square, but
and fly that rebel flag.
And fly that rebel flag, because
the black man standing in
right,
the
the
middle
black
of
man.
the
And see, the
city.
thing about it is that I, have a different opinion on as far as the rebel flag, because the rebel flag to me is just a piece of material, but what it represents is where the problem starts at.
Yes.
Is that if that flag is there and you still trying to implement or put into effect the same thing that was tied in when that flag came about, that's what my problem is. Because you know what that it include enslavement, it includes to non-rights, it includes of you not being able to do things. You can't look at a white woman in the eye, well, white person in the eye. So all those things.
Illiteracy.
It's like you couldn't read. Why were they afraid of us reading? Because we know that they lying to us.
Yeah, well, then because you got white supremacy, they got to be supreme in all things, and yeah, it's sick. I can't even begin to fathom how sick this system is. In fact, our system is so sick, though. You know that Hitler took the American system and used it in Germany?
Which part?
The evil part. The brutality of it, of how we were segregated.
But from what I know about Hitler is that the brutality didn't start until he was able to whitewash their minds, taking over the media, So in other words, all that thing, and then it became the norm. And to be honest with you, that's the same thing that I've always said that Trump has been trying to do.
Yes.
That's what he's been trying to do.
You're exactly right.
Yes.
You're exactly right. And he's doing a good job, especially the media. He's overtaking the media big time. Well, yes. I wouldn't say he's overtaken as much.
Why you wouldn't say that?
Because they're active participants. Huh? Everybody's on board. It's not like, he's just part of a team.
But the thing about it is that, and that's how white people are, is that they will run with anybody as long as they have something to gain. All those people that you talk about, you're right, they are willing to participate. They're willing to participate because they know that I need to do this to get this. So, they selling out all that for, like you say, the dollar.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So those guys, they trying to do a merger.
Yeah.
And the merger in all right there is illegal.
A media merger.
Yeah, a media merger. Because no one person can have over, I think it's 40% of the media platform. And with this new deal that they're gonna do, they'll be over that.
Yes.
And so but if the president sign out on it, who's gonna complain about it?
Right. But I think that's a monopoly you're talking about.
Yeah, basically, yes.
And basically we're so past monopolies right now. Walmart was the original. Yeah. You got Home Depot, Lowe's.
But you know why people have a problem with Walmart?
Ahead. What?
It's because he had low prices.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, made in China, straight shot, made in China.
Yeah, exactly.
But I forgot. I wanted to define that word. This for a caricature, and I was just looking at the definitions: artistic or literary representation that exaggerates or distorts a subject's most prominent features for comic satire
Right.
and critical effect. So I just wanted to throw that when we say the word caricature, and that's really the basis of how we've been defined, even in to this day. But the way I would define us is as the original people.
So the characters also was like in movies when they used to do whiteface.
Yes, that's a perfect example. Whiteface is a caricature.
Right. Or the lady in Gone with the Wind, the
Hattie
maid,
McDaniel.
the maid.
Hattie McDaniel.
I'm saying she was the maid.
Yeah, and that was a hard one because that's really art imitating life. I mean, she was playing a real person in that time frame. Now, that person was maybe one. I mean, that was just what she was, and that's what my grandmother was, a domestic.
Right, but look at it right to this day. Why did they get rid of Aunt Jemima? They considered it a character.
Yeah,
a negative character. I mean, for years we bought them grits, and she was sitting on that box. Oatmeal, and we ain't have no problem with it.
Yeah, in that time frame, she actually represented
exactly.
a real. That's way a real.
Right, I'm saying so. We got to figure out what can we do. Do we do on this side or do on this side? Is that we felt good to say go into a thing to see somebody look like us sitting on a box. I'm just being honest.
It's true.
Right,
it's true.
But I'm saying is that so the characters that we speak of is that some of them had a negative. Overly negative, like you say, the one that you just showed but that's one of the main ones. Black person smiling, eating watermelon.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a lot of black people to this day will not eat watermelon for that exact same reason.
As healthy as it is, because it flushes out your system.
Exactly.
It's an antioxidant.
But like I say, because it's tied into
a negative stereotype.
stereotype.
And that's why I say I think we need to define ourselves, and we do. I know I do. We define yourself, and you define yourself as something positive, and which we are. I mean, the country was built on the backs of black people, hands down, free labor, and then you look at the spirit of America. We're very forgiving. I don't see black people, the suicide bombers type thing that I know of. If they are, it's not that prevalent as far as fighting back. Picking up arms and fighting back. I'm not saying we won't get there because times have changed, and that's what I wanted to say to that Aunt Jemima. We can't judge old things by new ideas, so to speak, new times.
So
in those times, that was pretty general. That was accepted.
Right.
And today's world, we know better and we do better, I think.
So do you think that it's wrong for you to go out there and check your mailbox and the guy just walking down the sidewalk and he used the N-word towards you? That's his right. Freedom of speech. Now, he stand a chance of getting his ass whooped, but...
Oh, no, it won't be no chance at all. He's pretty much guaranteed that. But you threw me with that because you certainly threw me with that one.
Oh,
and has that you think that would you threw me? You got me on that one. But I don't know why anybody would do that.
And the only reason I said that because I seen this thing online and it was about these people giving white people a pass to say the N-word, right? But
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen interracial couples.
Right,
Go ahead.
But the guy said at the end of it, we gave it to him. He said, "Now this pass is not redeemable in our situation. You got to be very careful what you choose to use."
Exactly.
Because you look on there and say,
steer him wrong. You just steered the man wrong.
This does not work. This does not work in Alabama. Nope. You're gonna get.
And it's funny you should bring that up because I was in Chicago and I was at a concert. I was sitting in my vehicle, just pulled up, and this this interracial couple, white woman and a black man was standing. They were arguing. Evidently, they were boyfriend, girlfriend, and she was mad at him. She just kept calling him the N-word. Yeah, I was sitting in the car like, wow, that's pretty strong, but he took it. I was like, that's something new to me. But I'm in Chicago. I ain't trying to get involved in nobody's scuffle.
Yeah.
It'd be the last one you get down in Chicago.
She'll jump on you.
Yeah.
Why are you talking about me?
Yeah, he will, rather. And but anyway, that's, I think with the way we define ourselves, we have to re-examine that, and we have to be conscious of that. And I think we need to talk more about that. Kamala Harris, and I think this is why she doesn't really hit off with black people, with not this black person, I don't think you do, right, is because she doesn't embrace being black. If you went to a black school, but when she was on the campaign, that question came up several times. Hey, run out there and say, yeah, I'm black. I'm proud of it. Right. Yeah, everybody know you don't have any, but hey, we get that. Even the Indians won't be mad at you for that. Right. But she was, cautious, and that's why I said it plays into that I don't know, being ashamed of who you are, maybe. That part, to me.
And like you said earlier about the define of us, is that our define of us is that who we are as a people is that all of us have our own individual being of who we are as, CC, has views that does not mirror mine, and I got views that don't mirror his. But then again, we still have to look at even Clarence Thomas, Tim Scott. I still see them visually as black people, but in my heart, in my mind, they do not represent what I do. So that's why that it's easier for me to separate myself from any association. I mean, not association. If I see them, I speak to them. But I'm saying it's for like their way of thinking, because they are in politics, and so if I follow their way of thinking, I end up being on the Trump train.
And in the last minute, I want to give a rebuttal to that, because black people, African Americans, we are just various tribes thrown into one. We don't get the benefit like the Latinos get, Mexican, Venezuela, Honduran, this and that. We don't get the benefit of our tribe because we don't know our tribe. This is all part of the scheme. You strip people of their heritage and their culture and their family. You just throw them all into one big pot, and you call them the N-word. And you make them chop cotton and pick cotton and just be totally inhuman. And you do that for 400 years, and after 400 years, they don't even have a clue. So I just wanted to emphasize, black people are very diverse in their thoughts. Because basically we are different tribes, but because the American society has set it up that when you see us, you just see a black person. Right. Exactly. You won't see Swahili, Mandingo or whatever. That's not Mandingo, but the different tribes of Africa, because we don't even know it. I don't have a clue. As you notice, I stumble with what tribe, but I do belong to a tribe. Right. But who knows what tribe that is?
I never. Right. I thought about it.
You are in the chief, what was that guy, Robert Parrish tribe. I can see your features. That's the tribe you come out of. You even talk like them, look like them. That's in your DNA, brother. Yeah. But we're going to come back and speaking of basketball, we're going to come back and talk about this championship for the last 10 minutes. So hang on. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Going to talk a little bit of entertainment. NBA Finals is just wrapped up. We got a new champions in the New York Knicks. It was I don't know. I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it could have went either way at any time. What do you think about it?
Well, it was proven that San Antonio, on paper, they had the better team.
Okay.
But then again, on the court, it didn't show, and their youth.
Okay.
The youth showed out on it because, like you say, for two times, they was, like you say, they was beaten in the second half. They was beating New York by 29 points. New York came back and won that game. Game five is that when New York came back and played, they were beating New York by 16.
Yes.
Yes. And so it's just showing that they don't know how to navigate, even to their coach,
Yeah, it probably was a combination of all of the above, coaching, because it was seen to me, the MO, every time I watched the game, they would run out front real fast. They get like 15 easy. That was the standard every game. And so you're right. And I was thinking about the coach because it was seen to me by the fifth game, you would figure this thing out. You would say, because Wemby was sitting on the bench too long, you needed to run that score up because by the fifth game, they're going to get back in.
And then you had, what's his name, in foul trouble again.
Who?
Town.
God, what a disaster.
Man, he tried his everything he could to try to help them win, because I'm like, he went and he be getting in them fouls. And matter of fact, there's a couple fouls that they didn't call on him.
Yeah, but I thought Towns really kind of just like that was just regular Towns. But I was frustrated with him. I mean, you could do better. You got to stay in the game.
Got to stay in the game.
And they basically won it without him.
Yeah, they did.
And so
they did.
But I want to come back to you were saying about that young team though. Because that was a classic young team MO. You punch yourself out. You didn't have nothing to finish with.
Didn't have nothing to finish
Every game you punch yourself out, and
they got to get more win on. Wemby.
But he got
to get more win because he tires real quick.
Well,
they ain't got no weight.
But the team had a good strategy. They put that weight on them too.
Oklahoma did it. Oklahoma did, and that's why I was surprised that they was able to beat Oklahoma.
When we say put that weight on for the audience, that means you block him out, you push him around, you lean on him. He's a skinny guy. Yeah. He's just 7'4".
Right, exactly.
But you lean on him, make him work. By the classic, by fourth quarter, he was gassed.
Yep, he was gassed.
He couldn't get to the rim because any little push.
He couldn't even push nobody out the way.
Right.
Then you had a little guarding.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And then it hurts you on your 3-point shot because you're so winded, and which you shouldn't be out there shooting that many anyway.
Right.
You hit a few, but I like a 7'4" guy just to stand under goal to me, and so that's why I
you to be able to just all do is just get the ball up past the rim, and all I got to do is just hit it in.
Yes.
You can't ask for no better.
And that's why I say run the score up when he's fresh.
Right. Yes.
Do that all. Let's get this thing up.
And then you saying is that you like run the score up, and then with that coach is that when they got their first 5 points coming back, I would call a timeout. Hey.
Yeah. Right.
Let's go back to because after they got that lead and they were doing all them 3-pointers, then he kept doing it. You don't need 3-pointers now. Yeah. You can do the 2-pointers because you got them scared of you shooting your threes, so somebody gonna come out there.
Yeah.
On the threes.
Yeah. Now Fox, I didn't know he made the point guard for the San Antonio Spurs make $220 million.
Yeah, he got that contract.
And so this was his last. I think he's already been traded because that's a big.
Fox been traded.
Yeah, that's a big.
I did not hear
contract.
that.
I saw that
because they said he let him down. He sure let him down.
Well,
he did, Cal.
Okay, but the trade was. They can't afford that. I mean, they tried. It was a good try because you do need a point guard like that. They just might have had a bad series, but they do need a point guard like that. He is a classic.
Because he did make some important shots.
Yeah.
At the end,
right?
He was going to dribble around. He hit some big shots, but like you say, he didn't do. But then again,
I would agree.
But then again, you talk about like you say, but then again, I have to say that kid from Stevenson. I remember seeing him at Waukegan, at the Dog Pit when they came and they was playing against either Waukegan or Warren, And I was like, who this little kid? I say either Warren or Waukegan, whichever one it was. I said it must have been Waukegan because they was at the thing. And I said they're gonna run them out the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And that kid came down to me. I was like, who's this kid? So then he went down to the state twice, and he won it one time. So he had won a state championship,
Okay.
2 college championship, and now the NBA and the MVP.
Okay.
Yeah,
So he's
I was just cheering for. That's why I was cheering for New York.
right because Jalen Bronson basically won the
he's
game.
a class act.
Yeah, yeah.
If you see him, he's a
Uh-huh.
class act.
And
So far.
So we did talk about the last. It was kind of uncomfortable, but I got to bring it up.
Okay, go ahead.
The Caucasian.
I was gonna tell you he's married to.
I can't help but notice all
I
the big time.
I thought about that. I was like, oh, that's right. This is the conversation he had.
I maybe somebody can enlighten us on it. And to his defense, that's just like I thought. As he grew up, they were high school sweethearts, so to speak.
Right.
So they came up through school to I don't know what school
Right.
she went to,
Stevenson.
but Stevens. I mean, college wise.
Oh, I don't know.
Because she was a doctor.
Right.
in physical therapy, I think.
Oh,
it was.
she is a doctor.
But they and so that's why I read rather.
Right.
But I'm just saying that I like I say, I always had to emphasize I ain't trying to have no bigotry moment, but it's very observable to me that most athletes have Caucasian wives, and it's just an observable thing, and I just happen to kind of get taken aback by that because is it because of self-hatred? Is it because this is all year round? Is it I don't know is it psychological, or maybe there's just no. I hate to see there's black women I not available, not around. It's just something where I wish somebody would give me a different perspective than my own.
Yeah, I thought that his mother was white until they showed her on TV the other night.
She's a black woman.
Yeah,
I didn't. I never would have thought his mother.
a real black woman.
Okay, then I never would have thought that his mother was white. But anyway, any other entertainment news? I see our producer said James Harden got arrested with a firearm, unholstered, and so. But I think he got a little slap on the wrist for it.
Yeah.
But hey.
Well, sports news. I heard that my team, they kept Cam Jordan. He's a defensive guy for the Saints, and it was reported that he was going to get another contract, but he's going to stay. So
Okay.
that's a plus. And I seen this other kid that was on this little new thing called OT7. I first time I heard of it. They play team, and the kids started playing it from 7th grade all the way to 12th grade. And I seen this one kid that's supposed to be going to LSU, so we might be okay.
Okay, what do you think about the Bulls' new head coach? The basketball.
I seen it. He played with San Antonio Spurs. He won a championship with them.
Okay, what's his name?
Splitter?
What's his name?
Splitter? I don't know nothing about him.
Because Splitter.
I don't know nothing about him.
Okay, me neither.
Was he the Trailblazer coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
Trailblazers coach.
So
okay.
he's coming to a bigger market.
Okay, then, yeah.
Yeah.
And was that a privileged position?
What, the Bulls?
Yeah, I mean, for him to get the head coach position.
Of the Bulls?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, he gets privilege. Okay.
I mean, the prime jobs to have in the NBA is New York Knicks, Chicago Bulls, the Lakers, the Heat, and Golden State.
And I think you misunderstood my question when I say privileged position. Like, was he qualified? Did he just get it because
Because
I see that a lot too. We'll talk about that on the next entertainment section. That's something else that I noticed. All right, y'all.
You mean opportunity? Now, I would agree with you in all sports. Is that like, and that's a good point that you made. Privileged position, because you see it in the NFL. Is it all those retreads?
Yes.
And then you got all these other people that's put themselves in position for those jobs, but they're not even being considered because that thing was talking about the Rooney Rule.
Yes.
That the NFL was not even.
And so, welcome to Black Talk, Black Middle Class Talk, because this is what we have to talk about. Not that it's true, but at least we can get it out and talk about it. And I'm not trying to be a bigot or anything, but if it comes out like that, I apologize. But I'm going to talk about race. Okay.
Well, race is something to be talked about.
Yeah, and that's what this is a show to talk about.
And I would say on this show is that we're not going to be saying anything that derogatory with mean spirit. We're going to be unapologetic in a lot of cases because that's just how we feel.
Right. Thank you, brother.
That's how we feel.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? So, when you make those statements, is that they have to process that based on, because you just giving your personal feeling. It's
right.
not that you,
I ain't trying to hurt
you ain't trying to hurt.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not, I'm not malicious.
Right, exactly.
Malicious.
So I wouldn't have to apologize for that.
As always, we thank you guys. If you're going to be watching later, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. If you're watching live every Wednesday at 1:30 to 2:30, we welcome you aboard. We're going to get better at this. We're only 6 months in, and we appreciate anybody's support. So email us and let us know that you're out there. And as always, the ancestors will tell you always, always do the right thing.
Peace. See you next week.